Hi everyone, Mrs. Kramer here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about your reviewer role, which is the thesis trainer. Next time we get together as a class, we're going to do a peer review circle, and this is specifically what we want you to give your classmates feedback on. As far as your role, you want to focus on helping your partners have a strong thesis as well as strong claims that support the thesis. So focus on making sure that your peers have a strong thesis, and I'm going to go over what a strong thesis comprises of. Also, we want you to check that all of the claims connect back to that thesis. So I'm going to give you a refresher on both thesis and claims. So the thesis is sometimes actually called the main claim, and it is the overarching opinion that you have on whatever topic or issue you're talking about. So it needs to be debatable, defensible, specific, and significant. So what we mean by debatable is that it has to be something that has two sides. If it's something that everyone agrees with, then it's not an argument. It's more informative. If you are talking about defensible, that means that you use logical reasons and evidence to support whatever opinion you have on the topic. Things need to be specific because if they're too general or vague, that doesn't make for a clear, argumentative piece of writing. Significant is really related back to audience, and it needs to be something worth writing about. So I have some examples of different theses. Some are good examples and some are bad examples. So the first one is a bad example. It's non-debatable. Pollution is bad for the environment. So there's no one that would argue that pollution is a good thing for the environment. Therefore, it needs to change. One way that you can change that thesis and that idea to make it debatable is something like this. America's anti-pollution efforts should focus on privately owned cars. So you can either agree with that or disagree with that and provide reasons and evidence on that opinion. So the next two, a little bit different topic, but will explicitly show you a too general versus a specific thesis. So the too general thesis, drug use is detrimental to society. First of all, I don't know what types of drugs you're talking about, and it's really just really too vague. A more specific way to talk about that idea, illegal drug use is detrimental because it encourages gang violence. So they were a little bit more specific as far as word choice, and they said illegal drugs. So keep that in mind as well as you're reading your partner's thesis. So claims are the ideas that you are attempting to prove as you continue to make your argument. And I've actually heard of writers who have used claims to help them narrow their topic. So if you have a very broad topic, if you think about the claims that you plan to integrate into your argument, that might actually help you narrow your thesis as well. So categories of claims, there's really 4 of them that are the most popular. And the categories are facts or definitions, cause and effect, value, and solutions. So I have some examples of claims that relate to that topic of pollution. I thought that was a good topic that most of us have some background knowledge on. So here are some examples of claims in the different types of categories. What some people refer to as global warming is actually nothing more than normal long-term cycles of climate change. So again, going into more explanation of what global warming is. The next one talks about cause and effect. The popularity of SUVs in America has caused pollution to increase. The next one is a value. Global warming is the most pressing challenge facing the world today. So that's a judgment call. There are other things that people might value more so that again is arguable. Solutions, an example is, instead of drilling for oil in Alaska, we should focus on ways to reduce oil consumption, such as renewable energy sources. So that provides a solution for the topic that we were writing about. So as far as your peer reviewing role, you could comment on the thesis and make sure that it has all the components of a strong thesis. You could also make suggestions and comment on the claims that people are utilizing throughout their argument, which again is that first topic sentence in the body paragraphs. You definitely want to make sure that the thesis and claims are connected. So I did come up with some guiding questions that you can ask yourself as you're reading your partner's writing. You should make sure that the thesis is specific and clear. You can ask yourself, does the thesis clearly take a side? And do they stick with that stance throughout their entire writing? Does the thesis specifically answer the prompt? And one good way to verify that is if the writer used some of the same words and phrases. And then lastly, double checking that the claim supports the thesis. Hopefully this video gave you a really good idea of what your role is in the review circle. But if not, you can always ask your teacher. I recommend you doing that before you start to provide feedback to your group, because everyone has a very specific role and you want to make sure that you're giving your partners the right type of feedback. So it's really a team, small group project. If you've done a review circle before, you could always ask a group member for some direction as well. I hope that you have a productive review circle, and thank you for watching.